Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. So tonight I'm just going to do a quick overview on the stratagems and any abilities that the Space Wolves army has from the new Codex from 8th edition just released over the weekend. So I can't wait to have a little look over these and discuss some of these. I've not really read that much about them at the moment. I've seen a couple of spoilers on the internet last week, but we'll have to see how it goes. So armies of Asayam. So the abilities. So we've only got two abilities in this new codex, which is a little bit disappointing. Defenders of Humanity. A unit with this ability that is within range of an objective marker as specified in the mission controls the objective marker even if there are more enemy models within a range of the objective marker. If any enemy units within the range of the same objective marker has a similar ability, then the objective marker is controlled by the player who has the most models within range of the model. Okay, that doesn't really make sense. So you can seize the objective marker because you're a Space Marine. Fantastic. Hunters Unleashed. Now this is an ability which I think is fantastic. In any turn in which a unit with this ability made a charge move, was charged, or made a heroic intervention, you can add 1 to its hit rolls in the fighting phase. In addition, characters with this ability can perform a heroic intervention if after the enemy has completed all of their charge moves. There are any enemy units within 6 inches of them. They can move up to 6 inches when performing a heroic intervention as long as they end the move closer to the nearest enemy model. So, when you're, say, Thunderwolf Cavalry charge a unit or are charged, we all know that the Thunderhammer gives you a -1 to your hit. Now this ability negates that. So say if you're hitting on a 3, the Thunderhammer would cause you to hit on a 4, but this then returns it back to a 3, which I think is fantastic, because what Games Workshop are trying to do is, Space Wolves are essentially Vikings, and Vikings and Nordic lore states that hammers are very popular. So what Games Workshop are trying to do is they're trying to get us players to have more Thunder Hammers within our armies because it's a bit more fluffy. They've reduced the points cost for a Thunder Hammer, and now they're giving us this special rule as well, which I think is great. So expect to see more Thunder Hammers in the Space Wolves armies in an up and coming weeks. Let's look at the stratagems. So we have got for 3 CP Orbital Bombardment. This stratagem can be used once per battle in the shooting phase. If you have a Space Wolves Warlord that did not move during your movement phase, instead of shooting with your Warlord's ranged weapon, select a visible point on the battlefield and roll a d6 for every unit within d6 inches of that point. Subtract 1 from the result if the unit being rolled for is a character. On a 4 plus, the unit being rolled for suffers D3 mortal wounds. That's not too bad. In my opinion, it's quite pricey, and you've got, a 2 in 6 chance of scoring a 4 plus, so I'm not sure whether that'll be any good. I think that is a Space Marine stratagem anyway. Next one, Kill Shot. Space Marine predators often hunt in packs, combining their firepower to devastating effect. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase if a Space Wolves predator from your army is within 6 inches of 2 friendly Space Wolf predators. If you do so, you can add 1 to the wound roll and damage for all of your predators attacking that target monster or vehicle in this phase. So you add +1 to the wound roll. For 1 CP, +1 to wound roll. Yeah, because if it's a monster or a vehicle, it's going to have a higher toughness, isn't it? So your strength versus their toughness, plus you add 1 to the wound. Yeah, I think that's worth it for one CP. Flak missile. Flak missiles are designed to eliminate light aircraft by unleashing a payload of shrapnel that shreds armor and ruptures vital systems. You can use a stratagem just before a Space Wolves infantry model from your army attacks a unit that can fly with a missile launcher. You only make a single hit roll with the weapon this phase. However, add 1 to the hit roll, and if it hits, the target suffers D3 mortal wounds. I think that'll come in handy, especially if you are against an opponent who has a lot of flyers and you do happen to have a missile launcher. It's only 1 CP, and flyers, you're losing -1 to hit a flyer anyway, unless you've got a special weapon that says otherwise. So I think that's pretty handy. Overwhelming impetus. So use the stratagem at the start of the fighting phase. Select a blood claw unit from your army that successfully charged from this unit. That successfully charged this turn and is within 1 inch of an enemy unit with higher power rating. You can reroll failed hit rolls for the blood claw unit attacking the target, that enemy unit. So if your blood claw charges, say, I don't know, a special character, they're going to have a higher power rating, aren't they? So that could come in handy. Reroll failed hit rolls. Yeah, I'd say that would come pretty handy. It's only 1 CP. It's not a game changer, but you could cause a bit more damage, I'd say. Wisdom of the Ancient. Warriors within Dreadnoughts have seen countless battles, and their knowledge of war is a prized weapon. Use a stratagem at the start of any phase. Select a Space Wolves Dreadnought from your army, other than a Murderfang or a Wolfen Dreadnought. Until the end of the phase, you can re-roll all hit rolls of 1 for friendly Space Wolf units within 6 inches of the Dreadnought. That's all hit rolls of 1. That could come in handy if you haven't got any special characters around. So that could buff your blood claws or whatnot. Space Wolves friendly unit. Again, it's not a game changer, but it's not too bad. I think this next one would be though Cloaked by the Storm, where the Rune Priest unleashes his might, blinding Phaneresian tempests are sure to follow. Use the stratagem in your psychic phase. Choose a Rune Priest from your army that successfully manifested a psychic power in this phase. Your opponent must subtract 1 from all hit rolls for ranged attacks that target friendly Space Wolf units within 6 inches of this model until the beginning of your next phase. Yeah, I'd say that can be pretty handy, because if it's already successfully manifested, all you've got to do is pay 3 CP, and they've got a -1 from all hit rolls. So Space Marines would then hit on a 4, which gives them less chance to actually hit. Can come in handy, can't it? And the next one, Trophies of Theranos. To the mightiest warriors goes the greatest gifts. Until the stratagem... Use a stratagem before the battle. Your army can have 1 extra relic of the Fang for 1 CP, or 2 relics of the Fang for 3 CP. That's interesting. That could be a slight game changer. All of the relics of the Fang that you include must be different and be given to different Space Wolf characters. You can only use this stratagem once per battle. Okay. Right. I think in this video we're going to have to look at the at the Relics of the Fang then, to be honest. Cunning of the Wolf. Now this, I think, is going to be a game changer. The most successful hunts are those where the prey doesn't know they are being hunted. Cunning of the Wolf. Use this stratagem during deployment. When setting up a Space Wolves infantry unit, you can set up this unit on the hunt instead of placing them on the battlefield. At the end of any of your movement phases, the unit can join the battlefield. Set it up so that it is wholly within 6 inches of any battlefield edge of your choice and more than 9 inches away from any model. In my opinion, this is fantastic because there's 2 characters that have this as an ability in the Codex, which you will hear about tomorrow, hopefully. So if you had them characters in your army, plus you use this stratagem, you've essentially got 3 units that can deploy behind enemy lines on the hunt. Add a scout squad, there's another one, and a reaver squad, there's another one. So you could potentially have 5 units. The reason why I said 6 because I was going to say scouts, bikers. You could have 6 units behind enemy lines, which would distract the enemy and maybe take the firepower away from your Redemptor Dreadnought or your HQ beyond Murderfang, the Wolf and Dreadnought. I think that is fantastic. I will be using that. Well, we've got more. How many have we got here? That's not too bad. There's quite a couple here. Mentor's Guidance. A Wolf Priest is never ending. A Wolf Priest tutelage is never ending. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase or in the fight phase. Choose a Space Wolves character other than the Wolf Priest within 6 inches of the Wolf Priest from your enemy. Within 6 inches of the Wolf Priest from your army. You can reroll all failed wound rolls for that character in this phase. Character. Okay. So 1 CP. So if you've got a Wolf Priest and you've got your Wolf Lord who's got a combi melter, for example, you use that stratagem and all, maybe not that then, maybe not a melter gun because you'd only get one attack, wouldn't you, from a melter? So maybe a melter or a flamer, you could reroll all failed wounds. I don't know about that one. I don't think it's that good, to be honest. Lone Wolf. Right. Lone Wolves are no more in this codex, unfortunately. However, I've been thinking about this for a long time. In the 7th edition and in the index, you would have to pay the points for a Lone Wolf. And yes, in the index it wasn't as good, but in 7th edition it was quite good. But this stratagem, in my opinion, is even better. So like I was saying, you'd pay for the points for a Lone Wolf. But in this stratagem, using this stratagem at the end of any phase if there is a Space Wolf infantry unit from your army, other than a character or servitor or wolfen, that has been reduced to a single model. That model's wounds characteristic is increased by 2 and it gains 2 wounds. It gains the character keyword and you can reroll failed hit and wound rolls for it for the remainder of the game. So you've got a 15-man Bloodclaw pack with a Bloodclaw pack leader and a Wolf Guard pack leader. Obviously you're going to save them till last. All the others die. You've got your Wolf Guard pack leader left. You've equipped them with, for example, an auto cannon and a storm shield. You pay 1 CP 1 command point, he becomes a lone wolf. He gains 2 extra wounds, and he can reroll failed hit and wound rolls for the cost of 1 CP. I think that's fantastic. For 2 CP points, combat points, choose of the slain. Rune priests, familiars act as battlefield spies, alerting nearby space wolves when unseen enemies approach. Use a stratagem immediately after your opponent sets up a unit that is arriving on the battlefield as reinforcements and is visible to the rune priest from your army. A single friendly unit within 6 inches of the rune priest can immediately shoot at that enemy unit as if it were the shooting phase, but you must subtract 1 from any hit rolls when it does some. Well, surely the unit that can shoot at them must be in range, but then again it doesn't say that, so I would take that as the unit can just shoot, but it subtracts 1. May come in handy, yeah. It's not too bad. Laugh in the face of death. Use a stratagem in the fight phase. Choose a Space Wolves infantry, biker or cavalry unit from your army that is affected by an enemy's unit ability that modifies their leadership. You can reroll all failed hit rolls for the Space Wolves unit in the phase. So you can reroll all failed hit rolls. See, I play Danny and he plays Night Lords. The Night Lords reduce your leadership, so that might come in handy against him. Overwhelming Savagery, 1 command point. Use a stratagem in the fight phase. Choose a unit of Thunderwolf cavalry from your army. You can re-roll wound rolls of 1 for that unit in this phase. So like I said, Cunning of the Wolf, combine that CP, maybe the next turn with this CP, and you've got a pretty devastating squad there. Only in death does duty end. Use a stratagem, so this is 2 CP. Use a stratagem when the Space Wolves character from your army is slain. That model can immediately either shoot as if it was your shoot phase or fight as if it was your fight phase before it is removed from the battlefield. This stratagem is not cumulative with the Great Company banner ability. This stratagem takes priority. That would come in handy if, say, there was 2 characters left in a charge fight phase. He killed your character, but say he had 1 or 2 wounds left, but your character, for example Bjorn, has whatever 4 attacks. You could possibly potentially kill him for the cost of 2 CP. That's not too bad. I think that would be good. Howl of the Great Pack. Use a stratagem at the beginning of the moral phase. Choose a Wolf Lord from your army. Friendly Space Wolves units within 12 inches of that model automatically pass morale tests in this phase, and your opponents must add 1 to morale tests taken by enemy units within 12 inches of that model in this phase. May come in handy. Unsure, but may come in handy. True Grit. Now, does anyone remember, was it 5th and 6th edition? This was an ability that the Grey Hunters had, and they removed it from us, and they nerfed us. Thanks. Use a stratagem in your shooting phase. Choose a Space Wolves infantry unit with your unit from your army that is within 1 inches of an enemy unit. In this phase, models in that unit can fire either auto bolt rifle, bolt guns, bolt rifles and bolt carbines as if they had a pistol type 2 model that also cannot fire any other pistols in this phase. I take that back. In the old rules, True Grit meant that you could shoot both your bolt pistol and your bolt gun at the same time. So they've kept the name but changed the ability a bit. That may come in handy if you've got intercessors in your squad, in your army, and if they're assault in the assault phase, they could use their weapons to shoot as if they were pistols. Seeking a saga. It's only 1 CP. Use this stratagem at the beginning of the fight phase. Choose a Space Wolves character from your army that is within 1 inch of any enemy unit with a greater power rating than that character. You can reroll failed wound rolls for this attack for attacks made by this character against the enemy unit. 1 CP. That's not too bad. I can see myself using up a lot of CPs pretty quick because some of them are pretty decent, some of them, in my opinion, aren't. So I think I would probably use that. If I sent my Wolfguard battle leader in against a monstrous creature or a dreadnought, I think that would come in quite handy. The Wolf's Eye. Longfangs can spot the weakness in any enemy unit. Use a stratagem in your shooting phase. When a unit of Longfangs from your army is chosen to make its attack, you can reroll either failed hit rolls or failed wound rolls for that unit in this phase. Yeah, I'd say that, you know, that would come in handy, especially if you want to take out a tank in turn 1. It would come in very handy. Yeah, I'd say I'll probably be using that. Talismanic Shield. Talismanic born into battle by Space Wolves can ward off even the most devastating psychic manifestation. Use a stratagem at the beginning of your opponent's psychic phase. Choose a Space Wolves character from your army. That character can attempt to deny 1 psychic power this phase as if they were a psyker. Ah, that right there, that can come in handy, definitely. Especially if you are against people who use a lot of psychers. 1 CP Necron. Armor of Contempt. Use a stratagem when Space Wolves vehicles from your army suffers a mortal wound. Roll a d6 for that mortal wound, and each of the mortal wounds inflicted on this model for the rest of the phase. On a 5+, that mortal wound is ignored and has no effect. Mortal wound. Okay. May come in handy as well. Hellfire Shells. 1 CP. Use a stratagem just before Space Wolves infantry model from your army attacks with a heavy bolter. You may only make a single hit roll with this weapon this phase. However, if it hits, the target suffers D3 mortal wounds. Okay. That's a bit confusing then. You may only make a single hit roll with the weapon this phase. Oh, okay, so normally a heavy bolter grants you 3 shots, doesn't it? You only get 1 shot. Yeah, I think that's pretty handy. That may come in use for something. Living Storm. 1 CP. Use a stratagem if a Space Wolves Psyker from your army is within 6 inches of at least one other friendly Space Wolves Psyker and manifest the living lightning psychic power. Whenever the power would inflict D3 mortal wounds, it instead inflicts D6 mortal wounds. Oh wow. That will definitely do some damage. And it's only 1 CP. Data link telemetry. Use a stratagem in the shooting phase just before Space Wolves Whirlwind from your army shoots. If the target of the Whirlwind shooting attacks is viable to a friendly Space Wolves land speeder unit that is within 12 inches of the target unit, the Whirlwind attacks automatically hit. Okay. Don't know about that one. Keen Sense. 1 CP. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase. Choose a Space Wolves unit from your army. That unit doesn't suffer any penalties to its hit rolls this phase. Okay, so you could, if I'm understanding this correctly, you could move and advance with a heavy weapon, use a stratagem, and just shoot your opponents. Yeah, so you could use a long fang unit if you fancied it, move and advance, use a stratagem, and you can still shoot, and you don't suffer any penalties to its hit rolls. Okay, no, scrap that. Long fang squad, you move, you'd have to have a -1 to your hit because you've moved with a heavy weapon, and this will negate that. Yeah, makes more sense. The Emperor's Executioners, 1 command point. Use a stratagem when a Space Wolves unit from your army is chosen to attack in the fight phase. Each time you make a hit roll of 4+ for the model in that unit during this phase, it can, if it is targeting a Thousand Sun unit, immediately make an extra attack against the same unit using the same weapon. These extra attacks cannot themselves generate any further attacks. So each time you make a hit roll of 4+ on the model, if it's against Thousand Suns, you can make an additional attack. You know what? If you was against Thousand Suns, then you probably would use this. It would be silly not to, wouldn't it? You know, kill those dirty Thousand Suns. Final 2. Honor the chapter, 3 CP. Use this stratagem at the end of the fight phase. Select the Space Wolves infantry, biker, or cavalry units from your army. That unit can immediately fight for a second time. Ooh, that could be a game changer, actually, in my opinion. Anyway, that could be good. And the final one, Line Breaker Bombardment, 1 CP. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase if a Space Wolves Vindicator from your army is within 6 inches of 2 friendly Wolves Vindicators. If you do so, the Vindicators cannot fire their Demolisher cannons this phase. Instead, select a visible point on the battlefield within 24 inches of the 3 vehicles. Roll a dice for each unit, friend or foe, within 3 inches of that point. Add 1 to the result if the unit being rolled for has 10 or more models, but subtract 1 if the unit is being rolled for is a character. On a 4+, the unit suffers 3d3 mortal wounds. That may come in handy. You know what? I'm actually going to check the Vindicator, because I haven't played the Vindicator in God knows how long. Have a little look. Because if you're losing 3 shots from 3 Vindicators, oh yeah, it's only heavy D3 anyway. Yeah, it might come in useful. So that's the last of the command points, the stratagems. If this has helped, guys, please let me know. If there's anything I can improve on, let me know, because this is my first Codex review. If this video has helped in any way, give us a like. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe. And I'll see you soon. Nice one, guys. Try.